Hey friends! So today I'm talking all about the Tombow Fudenosuke brush tip pens. I will be talking about the two different types of nibs. They have a hard and a soft nib, and the pros and cons of the two different types, the colors, how easy they are to control, and whether or not I feel like they are a good pen for a beginner. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so let's start with the two different sizes of tips, or two different types of tips. So there is a soft tip pen, and that is going to be in the black barrel, I guess, and it will actually say, it'll have an S here, and then there is the hard tip pen, so it's got more of the blue barrel. Might be hard to see in the video, but it'll have an H on it to know it's a hard tip. And then in the color pack, it'll actually say hard tip. So they come in the two different tips, hard and soft. You can either get them in a individual pack in the black on Amazon. I think they're like $5. You can get them in a 2-pack, so you get a hard and a soft in the black. I think you can get like a dual tip one that maybe has a gray on it. I'm not 100% sure on that because I don't actually own it. And then you can get a color pack that has 9 colors and then a black, and those are only in the hard tip. Okay, so let's talk about the differences between the soft and the hard. So the soft tip pen, they're actually both going to have the same size nib. So let me show you the tip. I mean, maybe the soft is slightly bigger, if you can see that at all. But the soft is going to be a little bit more flexible, so it's going to have more bend in it when you put pressure on the tip, and then the hard is obviously going to be a little bit more stiff. I actually prefer the hard tip because it's a little easier to control. That being said, a lot of people I know do prefer the soft tip pen, so I'm going to start with that one and just kind of show you the up and down strokes with it. So it flexes fairly easy, so you get that nice good downstroke. And then with the hard tip, it doesn't flex as much, but you still get that nice downstroke. The difference is you get a little bit thinner upstroke with it, because it's a stiffer tip. So even though that the strokes are the same and the nib is the same size, you still get crisper upstrokes with the hard tip. That's kind of why I feel like the hard tip is a little easier to control, because you can write a little bit quicker if you're heavy-handed like I am, and you write a little bit quicker, you still get the thin upstrokes, whereas with the soft tip, it's a little harder to control your upstrokes if you're heavy-handed like me. So like I said earlier, the soft tip is available in black and I believe gray. I think they have like a dual tip. It's not the big Tombow dual tip brush, but the Tombow Fudenosuke dual tip, I think it's a black and a gray and a soft tip. And then the hard tip comes in black, and then you can get a color pack of the 9 different colors. I think the price for the color pack is like $26, I think, on Amazon and on Tombow's website. So, it's not fairly expensive, and you get a wide range of colors for that price. Off tip, let's talk about the colors. So a lot of people ask how these compare to the Pentel sign brush pens, and I'll actually have a separate video on the Pentel, but I wanted to kind of give a little example of what all the colors look like and how they write. So I'm going to do just kind of like a swatch test here on this. This is a Rhodia pad I'm working on. Okay, so I'm just going to write out the colors real quick. got all of the colors written out here. So, I mean, for the most part, they're pretty true to their caps, the shades on their caps. The only thing is maybe they're a little less vibrant than I would like them to be. And especially this pink. I really want this pink to be a bright pink, but it's kind of a more dull pink. There is, on some of these colors too, there's a little bit of color fall off on the downstroke, so that kind of means that, you know, when you go to make your downstroke, the color starts off pretty saturated, but then it just kind of tapers off towards the end of the downstroke. Not a huge fan of that, but it's not a deal breaker. What I love most about these pens is their ease of control, and actually the definition between the downstrokes and the upstrokes, because it is such a stiff tip on these colors. You are able to get that really crisp upstroke. These pens, they're pretty, I would say they're good for any stage of calligraphy, but they're really good for a beginner, because if you are heavy-handed, which a lot of beginners are, or if you just put a lot of extra pressure on your downstrokes when you're starting to figure it out, these tips are really durable. I've had some of these black Tombows for years now, and they still hold up. They're not frayed. You know, a couple times I've had brand new brush pens fray after one use, even using the right paper. This one's one of my older ones, and it is still in like perfect shape. Let me see if I can get it's still in perfect shape. There's no fraying or anything like that on it. So these pens are really good for beginners, because beginners tend to be a little bit more hard on the brush tip. So pros, I would say, pros of these pens, especially the hard tips, they're easy to control. You can write a little bit quicker with them and still get those crisp downstrokes and upstrokes. They're also really good for a bullet journal. Now this is a Rhodia pad, and the paper's a little bit thinner. You can see maybe there's a little bit of shadowing on the back, but I use it in my bullet journal. I use them for headings a lot, and because the colors aren't super saturated, they don't bleed through very well or very much, so that's a plus. Especially compared to other small brush tip pens like the Pentel Touch or even the Kelly Creates. I do have some bleeding with those, less with these Tombows. I guess the cons would be their colors aren't super saturated. That might not bother you. It bothers me on some projects, but some projects it's fine. And then there's a little bit of color fall off on the downstrokes, but overall, I mean, those are pretty minimal cons. So I do recommend these. These are some of my favorite pens. If I'm just quickly wanting to create something, these are the ones that I will grab. They're great for you to start out with. They're great if you just want to create a quick project, and they're good to practice with as well, so like practicing your upstrokes and downstrokes, which if you are just learning brush lettering, I do have another video that talks all about how to do upstrokes, downstrokes, and kind of the basics of brush lettering, so you can check that out. I do plan to have another video comparing or reviewing, I guess, the Pentel Touch, and I can kind of compare them to the Tombow Fudenosuke's, compare the colors and stuff like that. So be on the lookout for that video. But that is all that I have today for this review video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and also make sure that you subscribe and check the little bell to make sure that you get notified when I have my next video up. All right, see you later, guys.